What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you all. Come on in. Welcome. I don't know if the notification didn't go out or people just don't want to hear what I'm going to talk about. And that's cool either way, but we only have a few people in the room, and that's cool. Hey, little baby. I've been trying my best to keep up with this trial, and it's filled with some blanks I've had. Listen. I watch every day, but today I'm just getting in from my stepdad's funeral, and I needed this. Well, first of all, I'm sorry about your stepdad's funeral, Tracy. I'm sorry to hear that, boo. Hey, Lemon Kush. Thank you, Joanna, for becoming a member. The video I did last night, I did put on members only. I put that on the community wall, so that is available. If you guys didn't catch it, if you're a member, you can catch it. That was the live review with El Teddy and Ebby on Chasing Dallas, the season premiere. I did do a regular review that's posted. So, but if you want to see El Teddy, Ebby, and myself, and Scotty by Nature came by as well to just cut up a little bit, that video is on members only. If y'all could give me a quick second, I'm so sorry. Let me be right back. Give me a quick second. Well, more like 20 seconds. Sorry about that, you guys. I'm back. Sorry about that. My lighting looks off. Okay, that's better. So, hey Xavier, what's up? Will the view reviews be members only? I just watched T review of Chasing, and T was flirting. Child, T stay flirting. I actually just listened to his review a few minutes ago. I've watched Scotty's, El Teddy's, Ebby's. I even watched mine again. What's up, Jason? How you doing, my love? Tracy, will the view reviews be? I don't know what you're saying. You mean the live reviews be members only? Will the live reviews be members only? I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna do a live review every week. Yeah. That video, this, my internet was acting funky, and so I just decided to do a regular review, and I decided to put that on members only. So I don't know, because like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do a live review every week. So yeah, I haven't decided. Hey, what's up, Cross Country Cruiser? Hey, what's up? Who are the unappetizing? Oh Lord, Xavier, here we go. Tracy, can you do me a favor, please? Can you go get the link from Scotty's description box for the Boss Babe Awards? Please and thank you. If you guys can vote, those of you that are fans of Scotty by Nature, you guys know that he has been nominated for 2 Boss Babe Awards. The Boss Babe Awards are, the awards. It's a smaller awards platform that's, getting started, but they are recognizing, YouTubers and bloggers, and mainly people who review or highlight the LGBTQ community on their platform. And so Scotty has been nominated for Blogger of the YouTuber of the Year, and I forgot the other one, but it's for him and The Prelude with him and Jamar. And then you were giving Olivia Bisson a run for her money, catching up with this case on with child. Listen, now let me tell you something. I'm reviewing the documentary that happened on Netflix. I'm reviewing the documentary. Listen, this trial has been going on for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's like our OJ trial. It's a lot of twists and turns, and I have not been following the day-to-day of the trial. So what I am doing with this video is the documentary that is on Netflix. It's a 3-part documentary on Netflix. And it's actually a very easy watch. It goes really easy. It's not, like that Casey Anthony documentary. I feel like after episodes 1 and 2, you really had it. Like you really didn't need to keep watching it. I felt the same way with the Girl Scout case that we covered, the 3 Girl Scouts who were unalived. I feel like that could have been I feel like that didn't need to be 3 parts. This one, I feel like they definitely, matter of fact, I feel like it could have been long. This, I feel like could have been more than 3 parts. But that's what we're covering here. So the trial of 2 weeks, and it already got a documentary. Well, that's what I'm saying. This isn't about the trial. The documentary, matter of fact, when they finished the documentary, he hadn't even been charged with the death of his wife and his son. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let me get into what this is about. Okay, let me get into what this is about. Where can we watch the documentary? On Netflix. The documentary is on Netflix, and it is called Murdoch Murders, a Southern Scandal. So this case, yeah, Emily D. Baker has definitely been covering it from day one, and she is killing it. She's got like 30,000 people in her chat every day. She is definitely killing it. So if you want a breakdown of the trial, go follow Melly Said Natalie Lawyer Chick or Emily D. Baker. The 2 of them have definitely been covering it. So let me rewind, you guys. I don't want y'all to think that we are covering the trial. We are not covering the trial. We are talking about the documentary that's on Netflix. Now, why was there a documentary on Netflix? Because Xavier was like, the trial only been on for 2 weeks and there's a documentary. The documentary is not about the trial. The documentary is about everything that led up to this point, because we are talking about a Southern family that has basically been allowed to run roughshod for 113 years in this particular county down in South Carolina. So that is why, and their family is connected to 5 different deaths in the last 6 years. Okay. And so that is what the documentary is about. The documentary is about how this family is connected to all these different cases, and the last case being the death of the mother and son. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Okay. Okay. But it is definitely a hot topic because it is connected to the Murdoch trial, and it's a hot topic. Oh, look, this is my thank you card from Abby. Anyway. And again, the trial is certainly going on, is absolutely going on right now for the husband, Alec Murdoch. Okay. John Grisham was in court yesterday, so there will probably be a book too. So many twists and turns. Ooh. If John Grisham gives this case the John Grisham treatment, like the old school John Grisham treatment, baby, I'm wondering if he's going to do a fictional story based on this case, or if he's going to actually do the case. That would be, I would be here for that. I like John Grisham. John Grisham kind of went left for a little while, but his last couple of books have been sort of back to his roots for me. Girl, the fact that their family has been a part of the legal community and pretty much that state's attorney. Yes. All right, so let me get to my notes, child. Let's get to the notes. Okay. 3 pages. Okay. Yeah, I love John Grisham. And he was right by Buster in court. I wonder if Buster is selling the rights to the story to John Grisham. Because, they need money. They need money. And I wonder if that's what's happening. Oh, that'll be interesting. Either way, I'm here for it. Because even if John Grisham writes it as a nonfiction book, his writing style. And remember, John Grisham was an attorney. So, yeah, John Grisham, I definitely would be here for that. Ooh, they're going to probably, I'm here for that. And if John Grisham does a book, expect a movie. And I think there's already been some, like, Lifetime style level of movie, but child, that ain't, Is this a case of the dad accused? Yes, below. All right, you guys. So first of all, shout out. It's 40 people in the room. If you could hit the like button if you have not already, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, and thank you again. So it is the Netflix documentary called Murdoch Erders. Y'all know I took the M off. A Southern Scandal. Okay. So this is about the Murdoch family down in Hampton County, South Carolina. Why is this interesting? Why has this become a phenomenon? Well, by the end of this little video, hopefully y'all will get it. Okay, y'all will understand why this became a big thing. So over the last 6 years, this family has been connected to 5 different deaths. Now, the documentary starts with probably the most salacious case before. Okay. The documentary starts with probably the most salacious case before, obviously, the husband was charged with taking out his son and his wife. And then it sort of works its way back to these other cases. I'm going to kind of go in chronological order because I think it's easier to follow that way. If I start with the first case and then work my way up to this final case. But when you watch the documentary, it sort of goes out of order. John has 10 movie adaptations and 4 TV series adaptations. Yeah. Someone dusts off Matthew McConaughey for the movie. Ooh. You know who I would like to see play Alec Murdoch, the father in this? You know who I think would do a good job playing it? Woody Harrelson. I can see Woody Harrelson playing it. Yep. Okay. Yes, 5. Now, the Murdoch family in this county have been the solicitors of this county, which is the equivalent of the district attorney, since 1910. The great grandfather. It goes all the way to 1910, and it just passed on from father to father to father to father, right? The Cook family had plenty of motive. Who is the Cook family, Fly Guy? Who? I don't know who the Cook family is. You got me on that one. I don't know who the Cook family is, babe. Okay. Yeah, I think Woody Harrelson would do a good job playing the father. I could see Matthew McConaughey would play like the lawyer that took him down or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know. Not saying Woody Harrelson can't. I mean, that Matthew McConaughey can't play crazy. He can. But I really could see Woody Harrelson playing the father. They post on the job like people. They pass on the job like people pass on. Exactly. So, so that's absolutely the case. Okay. Now, their family has been connected to pretty much every level of law enforcement, from the judge down to attorneys, down to law enforcement, even down to people who sit on potential juries, because it's a small county and everybody knows the Murdoch family. Like, it is like that family. I'm trying to think of a good. It's kind of like, think about your back in the day, your nighttime soaps. Think about, the Carringtons. Think about the Channings. Think about like families that run the town. Like, they are the real life night, soap opera family that run everything. Like, they really are. That's it, right? And everybody knows who they are. Again, it's a small county. We're not talking about a major city. And they have the largest law firm in that area. So they do civil cases and legal and criminal law, right? And this law firm has been in existence for years. Again, just passing it down. Yeah, they are the Ewings, exactly. Just passing it down from family member to family member to family member. They're just passing it down from person to person to person. So the first situation. So we're dealing with the current family, the current Murdoch family. You have Alec Murdoch, who is the father. We have his wife, Maggie, and we have his 2 sons, Buster and Paul. Now, Buster is really his nickname. He's really a junior. So, but they call him Buster. And then we have Paul. Now, Alec does have brothers who, again, enjoy the life of being a Murdoch, right? The grandfather was still alive during 3 out of the 5 of these situations. No, actually, the father was still alive even up until the end because that was his alibi. Anyway, so Murdoch's granddaddy picture was on the wall in a court and had to be taken down for the trial. Well, when they finally charged Alec, pretty much like they said, like something like 23 judges and attorneys had to like recuse themselves because all of them were connected to the family. Like, I don't even know how they. And again, I haven't been following the trial, but I don't even know if they're trying him in Hampton County because I can't imagine. Like, they were so connected. I don't even know how they could be tried in Hampton County. All right, so the first case, maybe I should. No, I'm gonna do it in this order. Because the first 2 cases, it's a lot of rumor and innuendo, not a lot of evidence. The third case, a lot of evidence. We know who did it. And then the 4th and 5th case is what the current trial is. So the first case is the case of a young man by the name of Stephen Smith. Now, Stephen Smith went to high school with the sons, with Buster and Paul. His father died 2 to 3 days after. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you. So the father was technically still alive, but then he died right after the deaths of the mother and the son. So Stephen went to high school with the Murdoch boys, the Paul and Buster. Now, Stephen was openly gay in a small county in the Bible Belt of South Carolina. He was unapologetic by everybody. They say, listen, he was what he was. You watched it today? Yeah. And there's a lot of YouTube videos and documentaries. It's a podcast. It's all kinds of stuff. So if you want to get all the information and fill in all the blanks, everybody has something different. A lot of the information does overlap because I did listen to a couple of videos on YouTube over the weekend, actually. And so like the 911 calls and the interviews and so a lot of that information overlaps, but it's still, it still gives you some new stuff. They would have to be in a different county because how would you expect justice there unless old boy going to use it to appeal to get a mistrial? I don't know. I empathize with his remaining son Buster, but he needs to be thoroughly investigated for right. And that's what so Carl, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I don't know if I empathize with Buster yet. But I empathize because it's a lot for him to deal with. I will say that. Like, Dave definitely had a lot to deal with in the last 6 years. But if he had anything to do with what happened to Stephen Smith, I don't know how much I empathize. Now, so again, Stephen was openly gay. Again, unapologetic. He was who he was. And he was one night he was driving home from work one night. Either his car ran out of gas or he had car trouble. But either way, he left his car, he got out, and he was walking home. He was walking along. Again, this is a rural area, so he's walking along the dirt road on his way home. Now, he was on the phone with a guy who, I don't want to get too deep into the minutia of the woods, but this older guy who came out later and said that he was Stephen's boyfriend. Again, I don't want to get too deep into that because he was a little special too. But he said he was on the phone with Stephen while Stephen was walking. He said he could hear cars driving by and he was fussing at Stephen. He was like, did you let your car run out of gas again? Are you walking? And he said that Stephen told him no. He said, but I could hear the cars. Like, I know he was walking. He said, and then Stephen got off the phone with him, and that's the last time anybody talked to Stephen. The next morning, Stephen's body was found in the middle of the road with blunt force trauma to the head. Now, there was no signs that he had been hit by a car. Like, there was no scuff marks. His clothes weren't torn. None of that. It was clear in hindsight. And the reason why I say in hindsight, I'll give you that in a minute. But it was clear that he had not been hit by a car, that there had been some foul play. Now, here's the issue. They're in Colton County. Okay, thank you. He definitely stole millions. Oh yeah, he did. He stole millions of people. I mean, millions. They proved that he stole millions of money. We're gonna get to millions of dollars. We're gonna get to that. Hold on, Tracy said, but it's like the next town over, so it's really no different. They had to bring over 400 people to get a jury of 12 and 6 alternates. Yeah. They probably should have took them to like a main, like to Charleston or something. I mean, I don't know how far Charleston is from Blueford, but because Blueford, I feel like Blueford is like right outside of Myrtle Beach. I feel like when I've driven to Myrtle Beach, I feel like I've seen Blueford. I feel like it's right outside of, like, not too far from Myrtle Beach. But it's that area of South Carolina. I believe. I'm almost certain that Blueford. But anyway, so there was little to no investigation done into the case. As a matter of fact, the first ruling, they originally were trying to say that that it was, a vehicular situation, until the autopsy came back showing that no, that's not what happened. Now there were some investigators who actually were trying to do the investigation, but they kept hitting brick walls. Nobody would talk to them. Nobody would tell them anything definitive. Nobody knew anything. And so the case went cold. The case went cold for like 2 years. It wasn't until Stephen's mom hired her own private investigator to go back to try to find out what happened to her son. Well, once the private investigator pulled the police reports and started reading through what the detectives came up with, Buster Murdoch's name was in the file, right? And so what's weird is all of these cases linked back to each other. So when the private investigator was looking into Stephen's case, this was after the boating accident, which I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So the Murdoch's name were like out there, like people were like, oh my gosh, they're the family connected to the boating accident, yada yada yada. Rumor was that Buster and Stephen, they were friends in high school. Everybody knew they were friends in high school. Stephen was like an honor roll student. He would tutor Buster. A former teacher said, when the teacher was saying tutor, he was like, that's what you want to call it. I don't think he meant salaciously. I don't think he was tutoring Buster. I think he was just doing Buster's work. I think that's what he meant. I don't feel like he meant that there was anything. But the word on the curb is, rumor had it that Stephen and Buster were dating. But of course, Buster would never go public in that type of a situation. Remember, these kids were still in their early 20s, late teens, in the Bible Belt, in a very traditional environment. So they said there's no way that Buster would ever publicly state, this is my man. But the word is that they were dating or sleeping together, or whatever word y'all want to use. And one of the theories was that when his car broke down that night or he ran out of gas, that he called Buster for a ride. That's one of the working theories. Another theory is that the guys were just out driving around and they ran up on Stephen walking down the road. Either way, the rumor mill was that Buster and his brother, Paul, actually had something to do with the death of Stephen. What the most prominent rumor was that they were horse playing, they were just playing around, and it went too far. One of the podcasts, they didn't say this on the documentary, but one of the podcasts that I was listening to spoke about they possibly were driving by and like hit him with a stick or something, and it was the force was too much because kids are stupid and they think that hitting somebody with a stick moving at a high rate of speed may not unalive them. I don't know, but oh, Carl said, okay, Carl, I see you. So with that being said, that is the theory. Now, again, Stephen's case went cold not once but twice because nobody would really talk. Nobody would really talk to them and tell them, yes, this is what happened, but the general consensus is that Buster and probably Paul, his brother Paul, probably had something to do with the death of Stephen Smith, and it was probably connected to their, secret relationship. Now, again, y'all know that in small towns like that, if you have too many people saying the same thing, that doesn't mean that it's word for word true, but there's generally some truth somewhere in it. And that's what the private investigator said. The private investigator said, listen, in my years of doing work like this, if too many people are telling you the same story, there's some level of truth in the story. And there are too many people that are connecting Buster Murdoch to Stephen Smith's death. Now, as a result of everything that has been going on, they have officially reopened the investigation into the death of Stephen Smith. So we may get some answers, because I think with everything going on, people may not be afraid to talk anymore. People may not be as intimidated by the Murdoch family anymore because they're not this powerful family that they once were. And so people may start talking. People may be like, well, he told me, that this happened, or I remember, like da-da-da-da-da-da-da, okay? So that's the first situation, okay? Now, the second situation is their housekeeper. We talking small towns, there's nothing else to do. I know folks' business who I don't even know. Right, exactly. I believe Paul hitting Stephen when he was drunk. Right, and the way they describe Paul when he's drunk, they call his alter ego being Timmy. I can absolutely believe that they had something to do with it, that they were bothering this boy, harassing him, whatever. Whether they just rolled up on him by accident or whether they, Stephen called for Buster to come and get him. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe that Stephen called for Buster to come and get him. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, he wasn't that far from his house. Like, where his car broke down, he really wasn't that far from his house. Like, I'm sure that in a small town like that, he's probably walked miles at night before, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. He wasn't that far from his house. That's number one. And number two, if in fact him and Buster did have this, if they did have this, Lord, I can't get my words out. Gosh, I can't get it out. If they did have this secret affair, Stephen knew the rules. Like, I'm sure if they had been messing around since high school, and by this time this happened, Stephen was like 20. So if this had been going on for 2 or 3 years, he knew the rules. And I hate to say it like that, but everybody in this chat know when you're in a secret relationship, whether it's a same-sex secret relationship or even you messing with a married man or messing with a married woman, or just, y'all don't want nobody to know that y'all messing around. There are rules, and you know what the rules are. And Stephen could have called 500 other people. I'm exaggerating, but he could have called a million. Well, I'm still exaggerating. He could have called other people rather than calling his secret boyfriend. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think he called Buster. I think that it probably was just some bad. Buster was coming along. They were riding around town trying to get into some trouble, and they rolled up on Stephen. That's how I feel about it. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. Fly Guy, you keep saying Anthony Cook. Who is Anthony Cook? Refresh my memory. There's a lot of names floating around. Who is this Anthony Cook? I want to know who you're talking about, okay? You keep saying Anthony Cook. I need to know who you're talking about. T. Jones said the housekeeper, I believe they hurt her because she knew about Buster, and from what I read, she would do the right thing. She knew a lot. She knew about, allegedly, she knew about how bad Paul was treating his girlfriend. He knew about that. She knew about that. She knew about how bad Paul was treating his girlfriend. She knew about the boyfriend. Fly Guy. You know what, Fly Guy? You know what, Fly Guy? You wanted something, and I agree. And I'm gonna okay, let me put a pin in this, y'all. Let me go to what Fly Guy and Carl is saying. I don't disagree that he should be investigated, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because at the end of the documentary, towards the end, like the last 10 or 15 minutes of the documentary, what they say about Alec Murdoch was either A, they were able to prove, I don't want to get too far ahead of me, but they were able to prove that Alec Murdoch was there, right? They can't prove that he pulled the trigger, but they can prove he was there. And what the person says, what the narrator of the documentary says is either A, he did it, or he knows more than what he's saying. Either he was there when it happened, or he saw what happened, right? And he's not talking about it. We're gonna get to Anthony Cook. Thank you, Fly Guy. I just listen. It's so many names, y'all, and so I didn't remember Anthony. I have his name written here. I do have Anthony is written right here because it's a whole lot of M's too. We got Maggie, Mallory, Megan, and Morgan. It's a lot of M's. I said, what the? Y'all know how I am with names, but thank you. Yes. I'm gonna tell you something else about Mr. Anthony Cook. We're gonna get there. Don't let me forget about Anthony Cook because I don't want to get too far ahead and be confusing people. But don't let me forget about Anthony Cook. But Fly Guy, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm not saying that they shouldn't look at him. I ain't saying that either. Now I haven't been following the trial, so I don't know how much evidence is overwhelming against Murdoch. But yeah. Okay, let's get back to this. So the housekeeper, Gloria. Now, Gloria had been taking care of the Murdoch kids and been working for the Murdoch family since the kids were young. I think they said since Paul was like 2, was a baby. So she basically grew up with those kids. And they said that Paul loved Gloria. They said that the mother, Maggie, basically treated Buster like the golden child. And Paul was sort of like the afterthought, right? And because the mother doted on Buster so much that Paul had a very close relationship with Gloria. She was the housekeeper. Now, y'all know how it goes with the people who take care of the home. They know, they see, they got it, right? So one day, Paul and Maggie were at the house and they called 911. They played the 911 call. You can hear the irritation in their voice, yada, yada, yada. They called 911. They said that Gloria had fallen down the steps. The dogs that she had gotten tangled up in the dogs. And she fell down the steps and she hit her head on the concrete. Now, she never... the ambulance came, yada, yada. She lived for like 3 days and then she ultimately passed away, but she never regained consciousness. Once they got her to the hospital, she never regained consciousness. So she was never able to talk to her family and tell her family what happened. This is suspicious because a lot of people feel like maybe Miss Gloria knew too much. By this time, the family was having money problems. Bills weren't being paid. Allegedly, Maggie had gone to visit a divorce attorney. Allegedly, Alec had developed his oxycodone habit, and he was, having, dealing with the drugs and everything. And so they feel like maybe Gloria knew something that she wasn't supposed to know about what happened to Stephen. And maybe was threatening to tell because they said that she was a straight shooter, that she was the kind of person that would tell everybody, like, do the right thing. You have to tell the truth, yada, 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 right? Now, what's interesting about the case with Gloria, again, it was never really investigated. It was seen as an accident. It was never taken any deeper than that. Alex, now here's where, again, I'm sort of jumping all over the place, but let me tell y'all this because I don't want to forget to say it. Because it was an accident and it happened at their house, Alex Murdoch filed a claim through his insurance company and he said, well, I wanted to do it so that Gloria's kids will be taken care of. He got a $4.3 million settlement from the insurance company And the family, Gloria's family, never ever knew anything about it until the case came up and they put it in the paper. The paper exposed it that he had won this $4 million settlement from the insurance company for Gloria's family. And Gloria's family was like, what? 4 million who? No, the family had never seen a penny. Never seen a penny. This man stole $4 million from them. Now, the good news is they've been able to recover the majority of that. They've been able to recover, I think, something like $2 million out of the $4 million, which that is good. Because in a lot of times in cases like this, people don't get their money back, or they damn sure don't get it this fast. Woo Child, you can catch up. We ain't too far into it, but I understand, baby. So, I mean, good for him. I mean, good for the family, for them to be able, they you know, of course, they hired an attorney that went to find that money, honey. But if this case had never come up, they would have never known about this money. They didn't know nothing about the money. I said, ain't this some bull-ish? Okay. So those were the first two very suspicious situations that are connected to the Murdoch family. Neither one of those cases were investigated. They were sort of slid under the table, slid under the bus because it involved the Murdoch family. And everybody just took their word for it that either they weren't involved or that the woman really did fall down the steps and it just was an accident. It just was an accident. What would Alex's motive be? Well, they talked about what his motive might be, but we'll get to that, Fly Guy. You really mad at Anthony. You really want to see Anthony be the one? Okay. I think the firm had their insurance pay out some of the settlement, so the firm is now going after Alex. Yeah, the firm, I think because Alex stole a lot of money. He ended up getting fired. And so he stole a lot of money. But yeah. So let me go to my notes because before I get to this next story is the major story. I want to make sure that I'm giving the notes. Okay. Okay. Body on the road. Steven Smith, Buster. Name was in the report. Might have called Buster. Mother hired private investigator. Rumors. 3 years later, the housekeeper fell down the steps, hit her head. Said the dogs. Alex, drug addiction. Rumors that she was pushed because she knew too much. No witnesses to the fall. That's the other thing. Nobody actually saw her fall. Reopening the case. Found out that Alex was stealing money. Okay. All right. So let's go back to, now this is where the documentary starts. The documentary starts with probably the most famous or the most, I ain't gonna say, famous case up until obviously what he's on trial for now. So the case involved 3 couples. You have Paul, who was the younger son, his girlfriend, or at the time they weren't dating anymore, his ex-girlfriend Morgan, Anthony, who Fly Guy's talking about, Anthony Cook and his girlfriend Mallory Beach. And then you have Connor and his girlfriend Maggie. I told you these M's, child, these M's. Now, Maggie and Mallory were best friends since birth. They met in preschool and they have been best friends ever since. When this accident happened, they were all like in their late teens, early 20s, right? Morgan she moved to town. Her parents, they were from New York originally. They moved to town, but she became friends with all of them. Her and Paul started dating, and they were dating for 4 years. Her family, now I wouldn't say that her family was dirt poor or they were from the wrong side of the tracks. I mean, they looked like they were a middle class family. Her mom was a nurse at the local prison. Her dad was landscaper. They gave him a fancy name, but he was a landscaper. Okay. But I feel like, but of course you dealing with the rich kids. Well, Paul, and that was one of the things that he said to her, like in their last fight, he said something about, it's a shame that your father can't make enough money to take care of his family or some shit. Anyway, but we found out a lot about, there's also some innuendo that there might have been some drug smuggling going on. That's all allegedly. The documentary doesn't get too deep into that. They kind of throw it out there, but they don't really explore it. But some of the podcasts that I listened to over the weekend did talk about the possibility that the Murdoch family on some level was involved in smuggling in illegal drugs. They talk about the fact that the family had a plane and a landing strip on their property, so they didn't even have to go through, any sort of FAA regulation kind of thing. And the one of the great granddaddies did get in trouble back during Prohibition for bootlegging and bringing in. No, it wasn't Prohibition. It was later than Prohibition, because I remember when I was listening to it, I was like, why was he bringing in illegal alcohol when alcohol was legal? But anyway, so yeah. It is a lot, C. Golden. It's a lot, child. Okay. Paul, the youngest one. But Paul, from every story I listened to, Paul was a drunk, right? He was a violent drunk. He drank a lot. In the documentary, it talks about how the family really would provide alcohol for them, and knew that they were drinking, never made an issue out of it. I mean, never, they were all underage drinking, and they let them. It was no big deal. Morgan, who was the girlfriend of Paul, she talks about their relationship. They had a very up and down relationship. They would break up, get back together, break up, get back together, break up, get back together. She said when things were good, they were great. She traveled with them to, she went to the Final Four. She went to the Kentucky Derby. She went to Guatemala to go fishing. Like she did great things with them. But she said when things were bad, they were really bad. And she even by the end of this, she admits that he was abusive to her, that it was physical and verbally abusive to her. And she didn't even tell anybody, including her parents. As a matter of fact, the night of the accident, he actually slapped her in front of the rest of the friends when they had gotten into an argument, and he slapped her. And her friends were like, you could tell by the way she reacted that it wasn't the first time he had hit her. But up until that point, that's how the parents even found out when the story was told about what happened on the boat before the accident, and that story got out that he slapped her. That was the first the parents even knew about him being physically abusive to their daughter. Let me put it. I struggle with wanting to say what I struggle with wanting to say something, because I don't want to feel like I'm beating up on the victims. But let me say this. I am going to say this. From what I was able to read between the lines, these parents allowed their daughter to spend a lot of time with the Murdoch family. And I'm not saying, hey, what's up, Rashida? Hey, Lita. And I'm not saying that they are horrible people because they did that. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, I know sometimes I can be a stick in the mud about certain things. But here's why I'm a stick in the mud about certain things. I feel like this is why you don't allow your children to just do whatever they want to do. These were privileged, rich kids in a small town. Your daughter was younger than them. Yet you were allowing your daughter to travel with them, overnight trips. She talked about the first time that he was abusive, or at least the first time she told us. They were at a hotel, or they were at Buster's college graduation, and they were in a hotel room together. And I just feel like these are the things where I'm like, as a parent, anyway, I'm gonna stop there because y'all feel what I'm saying, and I don't want to feel like I'm beating up on the victim, but y'all feel what I'm saying. What's up? Who said that? So the night of the accident, Morgan said that she wasn't with Buster anymore. She was. All right, I'm back. I know. Can y'all hear me now? So Buster, can you hear me now? All right. Yeah, my microphone went out. Okay, so they were going to an oyster fry, oyster something. But it was something they said they did, a certain time of the year when the oysters were plentiful and they would kind of do these things. So rather than drive, they decided to take the boat. Now, when they first said they decided to take the boat, I said, oh, they were just showing off. They were going to ride their boat to the oyster, to the oyster fry when everybody else was driving. But later on, we found out that they probably did it so that they could buy oyster bait. Thank you, oyster bait. They probably took the boat so they could bypass the checkpoints because they knew that there were going to be checkpoints that night and they wanted to bypass it because they were drinking. So the first thing Paul did was he went to the liquor store and he used his brother's driver's license and he bought about $50 worth of alcohol. And they said that basically from that point forward, he just got drunk. And he was a mean drunk to the point where they gave him a name. His alter ego was Timmy. They said whenever Paul was drunk and they would start calling him Timmy, they knew that meant, okay, he's crossed over now and he's Timmy. So they went to the oyster bay. They had a good time. They were drinking, whatever. When it was time to leave, they said that a lot of people there were like, why don't y'all leave the boat here? Go ahead and get a ride back. It's late. Y'all been drinking. It's dark. Might not be a good idea to get back on that boat to go home. Anthony claims, and I know Fly Guy, he don't like Anthony. I'm feeling it. But Anthony claims that he wanted to take the ride, but nobody else kind of did. And so he didn't want to be the stick in the mud kind of situation. The girls also said that, hey, Tracy, the girls also said that, they kind of didn't want to rock the boat because of how nasty Paul was when he was drunk. And he was at that point of being drunk and he was getting nasty. And they were just kind of like, okay, fine. Of course, I'm sure all of them wish that they had made a different decision. So they get on the boat and they said, at least let Connor drive. Now, Connor was the third guy. So it was 3 guys that night, Paul, Anthony, Connor, and then 3 girls, Mallory, Maggie, and Morgan. No, Maggie's the mother. Mallory, Morgan, maybe it was Maggie. Is it 2 Maggies? I guess it's 2 Maggies. Right, Rich, right. So they get on the boat. And again, they said that Paul wants to go to a bar. And Connor is Anthony's cousin, right? So Connor and Anthony are related. They're cousins. Thank you. So they wanted to go to a bar. And of course, nobody wanted to go to the bar except for Connor and Paul. But Paul was like, it's my boat. And if I say we stopping at this bar, we're going to stop at this damn bar. So they stopped at the bar and they had a couple of more drinks. Now they have video footage showing the kids walking down the dock. And it's clear that, people are inebriated. They swaying, whatever. Anthony and Mallory had known each other for a long time, but they had just recently made it official and became boyfriend and girlfriend. So they were like in love and giving each other the googly eyes and all that good stuff. So they get back on the boat to come home after they left the bar. They said that Paul is driving erratically. He's just going in circles. He's driving out of control. And they were like arguing with him to let Connor drive. Like, just let Connor drive. That is when they said that him and Morgan got into the argument. He said to Morgan, you don't have my back. Why don't you have my back? Why don't you have my back? And Morgan was like, what do you mean have your back? Like, you're drunk. Like, you need to let Connor drive. And she said that's when, now one version of the story was that he slapped her. Another version of the story was that he spit in her face and then he slapped her. Either way, the slapping part is consistent in both stories. Shortly after, they said shortly after he slapped her, he went back to driving the boat. He pulled the boat, he pushed the throttle all the way down and they took off. And next thing you know, the boat crashes. Everybody makes it to shore except for Mallory. They're looking for Mallory. Mallory. Anthony said he jumped back in. they can't find her. They said the current is running fast. All of them have injuries, but Mallory is the only person that they can't find. Let me put a pin in that. Let me rewind a little bit. Morgan told a story about one night when she was out with Paul, and he was driving drunk, ran their car into a ditch, and instead of calling, like, she called 911, he got mad at her. He snatched the phone out of her hand, threw it, told her don't call 911. Why would you do that? He called his grandfather. They said that he had guns and beer bottles, beer cans, all in the truck. According to Morgan, the grandfather showed up with the father and the mother. They took all the guns out of the truck, cleaned the car out of the beer cans, and the mother got mad at her because the mother was like, why did you call 911? Why would you call 911? And Morgan was like, because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, we were in an accident, you're supposed to call 911. So they said that whenever Paul got in trouble, he called his grandfather. That was always the first person he called. He called his grandfather. Thank you, Fly Guy. Thank you. So with that being said, let me get back to this story. So when the first they called the police, I think Connor was the one that called the police, and you could hear the people in the background yelling for Mallory, like you could hear the chaos in the back. Of course, the police show up, and you can hear Paul asking for the police officer's phone so he could call his grandfather. So they called the grandfather, of course, called the father. Anthony is distraught. He's cussing. He's mad at Paul. He told the police officers that he the one who did it. He told the police officers that, you know, he's a Murdoch, you know. Now, come to find out, they broke down how the police officers who showed up on the scene were connected to the Murdoch family as well. Like, one of them was the brother's best friend. They grew up together and all of that. So it's just this all intertwined, right? So everybody goes to the hospital except for Anthony, Mallory's boyfriend. Exactly, Abby. I called 911 because that's what you're supposed to do, child. Exactly. The Tita, it's so much. So everybody went to the hospital except for Anthony, because Anthony was like, I ain't going nowhere till y'all find Mallory. Like, I'm not leaving until they find Mallory. Right. Anthony immediately told, you could hear Anthony talking to the police, and he immediately told the police what happened. Now, when they got to the hospital, the grandfather showed up at the hospital, the father showed up at the hospital, and they said that immediately they went into cover-up mode. They immediately were trying to cover up the accident, and they tried to say that Connor was the one who was driving the boat to throw suspicion on Connor and throw it off of Paul. And basically what Alex told Connor's family was, look, we can get him out of this. Like, we're going to go ahead and put it on Connor, but we can get Connor out of it. Now, Connor's father and Alex, they were friends they knew each other since high school. And he said that, you know, they weren't as close as they used to be, but they had known each other since high school. And he was like, I know how his family roll. Like, I wasn't going to let them put this on my son. Like, hell no. Thank you, Yvette, because it's a lot, child. It's a lot. So, Child of Stories Wild, the American Greed episode on HBO special were on point with the tea spilling and info about everything. Child, it's so much. And that's why I'm telling y'all, still go watch the documentary, still their podcast and everything, because it is a lot. And you'll get different information depending on who's telling the story too. So, while this is going on, Anthony's parents show up. They went to the lake. Because Anthony would not allow them to take him to the hospital. They said that the mother, and you can see the video, like you see the body cam footage of the mother talking to the police officer saying, has anybody called Mallory's parents? She said, I have her phone number, but I don't want to be the one to make that phone call. I think y'all need to call, but I can give y'all the number. And the police officer said, well, there's no need in us calling them until we have something to tell them. I mean, we don't know what's going on yet. Excuse me? There's no need to call the parents until we know what's going on. Have you lost your ever-loving mind? And According to Mallory's parents, nobody from law enforcement ever called them. They got phone calls from like other people who knew what was going on and said, "Hey, Mallory's been in an accident. You might need to go check it out." Law enforcement never called Mallory's family to say, "Hey, your baby is missing. You might need to get down here." Baby. So, and I'll be honest with you, Fly Guy, you focused on Anthony Cook. The daddy ain't, I ain't too sure that the daddy, because the daddy kept saying an eye for an eye. The daddy kept saying, the Bible says an eye for an eye. Did you peep that in the documentary? The daddy said that about 2-3 times. So I got my eye on the daddy too, on Mallory's daddy. Mm-hmm. So this is going on, and once again, the cover up is in. The police allowed the Murdoch family to remove the boat from the crime scene before they were able to thoroughly investigate. Where they do that at? Where do you get to come and just take the boat away? It was involved in an accident where they took the boat away before they even found Mallory's body. Where they do that at? Then Sled does a terrible job. I feel sorry for the family of South Carolina. Yeah, Sled definitely looked like child. Yeah, Mr. Beach was talking like he had Draco under the seat, child. That's what I'm telling you. You better listen. Y'all talk about Anthony. I'm looking at the daddy too. I'm like, sir. So then, the father. Oh, that's the other thing too. See, I keep going all over the place. Anyway, that's not important. That's a small detail. Let's just say the father, he offered to represent, to look out for their best interests, like I said, because they tried to put it on Connor. They ended up having to hire the family. I believe it was the family. Mallory's family ended up hiring a guy that does like the reenactments. The guy that does the reenactments. They ended up hiring him, and they were able to show that there was no way forensically possible that Connor was driving the boat. It just wasn't possible. 2 months later, Paul was finally charged with 3 counts, and it was like intoxication and of course manslaughter, yada yada yada. Mallory's body showed up 5 days later. So it took them 5 days to find Mallory's body, but her body washed up 5 days later. They had the funeral for her. It was sad. Everybody was, upset, so forth. So they said that Paul didn't have to wear no handcuffs. Even his mugshot, he's in street clothes. They never put him in like an orange jumpsuit. He never had on no handcuffs, and he made bail. He never spent a day in jail, pending trial. 2 years later, still the trial hadn't happened yet. Y'all know how they finagled it. So the trial, 2 years later, there was still no trial. Now let me go to my notes, y'all, because it's a lot. Okay, Buster chose the child lawyer. Miss Gloria, housekeeper. Paul, Ray. Okay, Paul called granddad to get him out of trouble. I just want to make sure I got my notes, y'all. Maggie hated Paul. Oh yeah, Maggie ain't like Paul. That was Morgan's friend. They ain't like him, child. Drunk driving, 911 call. I told y'all that. The oyster roast. Yeah, the oyster roast. Okay, got that. Went to the bar, slapped Morgan, driving crazy, wouldn't let anybody else drive, called grandfather, blamed Connor, trying to get the kids for the statement. Oh yeah, they tried to talk to the kid. Oh yeah, Alec got to the hospital before Morgan's parents, and he told the police, "I'm her guardian. Let me go talk to her." Morgan said she had to tell the nurse, don't let him in here. Don't let him in here. Police let the family take the boat, tried to cover up the accident. Okay, see, I'm doing a pretty good job of remembering my notes, child. Civil case. No one shared any information with the family. That's what I was telling you about. Took the boat to avoid the traffic stops. 5 days she was missing. Officers close to the case had ties to the Murdoch family. Missing evidence. That's the other thing. There was evidence missing. One of the officers was best friends with the brother. No calls were made to Mallory's parents. Paul finally was charged 2 months later. 2 years after the crash, Paul was still living a normal life. Buster had been expelled from college for plagiarism, so child, who knows what he was doing. And this is where we find out that bills are starting to go unpaid. And things are, they said the mother had visited a divorce attorney. Allegedly, they don't have no proof of that, but that's just one of them rumors that's out there. I'm sorry, y'all. So now so 2 years later, we're at the current case that he's on trial for now. Murdoch got fired from his job from the law firm that his family started. He got fired because they found out he was stealing money. Now, I don't think they knew to the extent. I don't think they knew about the $4 million and all of that, but they found out he was stealing money. They said that he had an oxycodone habit that he would from time to time try to detox from. But of course, nothing publicly, because far be it for anybody publicly speaking on this, right? Then there's a 911 call where Alex Murdoch calls 911 and says that his wife and son have been shot. They played a 911 call. You can hear him, he sounds very distraught or what have you. It happened at the house. And of course, by the time the police and everybody got there, they were gone. Now, the weapons have never been recovered, but by all accounts, the Murdoch family had a house full of guns. One of the guns that they know for a fact that took the mom out, they know for a fact that the Murdoch family owned a gun like it. They can't prove it's the same one because, of course, until they can run some ballistics, they need the gun to run ballistics. And until they're able to do that, they can't say it was the gun. But what they can say is there was a gun that we know that the Murdoch family owned that looked just like, that fired the same kind of bullets. Now, it was two different guns that took care of the son and the mother. It wasn't the same weapon that took care of the son and the mother. Y'all know I have to be careful with my words because it's YouTube, so that's why y'all gotta, And so that was kind of something that's a little like people are side-eyeing, Alec about that. The other thing is his alibi. They've been able to blow his alibi. He said that he wasn't there. He said that he had just gotten home from visiting his father and mother. They were at a I guess hospice. They had Alzheimer's or what have you, and he had just gotten home. But they were able to show through the phone records of not just his phone records, but through Paul's phone records, they were able to show that he was there. There was a video call where I think they said that you could see Alex in the background or you could hear Alex, and that happened like 10 minutes before the shooting. So they could prove that he was actually there. Of course, they can't prove that he did it. And again, the documentary ends before he's actually charged. So they only are giving you like a little bit of circumstantial because the trial, they didn't even start the trial yet. But what ended up happening was he ended up getting arrested for the embezzlement for stealing the $4 million from the life insurance policy. So he was in jail for that crime before they charged him with the crime of his son and his wife. So he was already in jail. Now, something I was going to say. Shortly after, I think a couple of months after the death of his wife and his son, He said that he was on the road. He got a flat tire. He said that he was changing the flat tire and somebody pulled over to help him and they shot him. Well, come to find out, then, the police came, yada, yada, yada. He admitted that he did it himself, that he was trying to unalive himself because he was so distraught over everything that was going on, losing his wife, losing his son. He just couldn't deal with the pressure. But he then tried to blame it on one of his drug dealers, one of the people that he buys his drugs from. He tried to blame it on him and say that he did it, and say that he paid him to do it, but he didn't do it himself. And the guy, listen, they got that guy on the documentary. He's sitting there with his, because he in jail now, child, and he's sitting there with his attorney. And the narrator was like, "So did you do it?" He was like, he looked at his lawyer. His lawyer was like, "Go ahead and answer the question." He said, "He alive, right? If I had shot him, he'd be dead." I said, "Well, damn." That's a hell of a way to deny that you did it. If I did it, I wouldn't have missed. Like, he alive, ain't he? Like, golly. So also in the call, Alex says, "I touched Paul and I have blood on me. It's very off, especially after describing how gruesome the scene was." He said he was trying to check their pulse. Yeah, he did say that in the 911 call. He said, because the nurse says, the lady on the 911 call said, "Don't touch anything." And he said, "I already did." He said, "I was trying to check their pulse. I already touched them." So, so if he paid to kill, if he paid this man out of loss, I'm sorry. So if he paid, why not pay to have Maggie and Paul? That's true. Who let this man out of law school? His daddy must have bought his degree. Probably. Well, Buster got kicked out of law school for cheating, for plagiarism. So that's why I can believe that Stephen was probably doing his work for him. Because the former teacher don't describe him as being that bright. So, child. So let me go through my notes because I want to make sure I went over everything. Because again, the documentary sort of ends there. They talk about why he was in jail, how, Buster was selling off family stuff and was in Vegas, gambling, I guess trying to get the money up to pay these bills and they said that he had a life insurance policy and that maybe that's why he was trying to unalive himself so that Buster would be taken care of. But as much litigation that you left, whatever you left Buster was going to be gone, child. Okay. Guns not found at the house. Now, there is footage from a drone showing Buster and another family, I think the father, the brother or another family friend, taking guns out of the house. Somebody, a YouTuber that he does, I was listening to his videos were the ones I was listening to this weekend. Alex something, I can't remember his last name. But he had his drone out there and he actually captured it on his drone footage of them taking the guns out of the house. Now, of course, they have no way of knowing if it's the guns, but it was some guns. And who knows what they were doing. They might have been going hunting, might have been going to sell the guns. We don't know. Body of Steven Smith. Okay, I already talked about that. Alex. Okay, Alex shot in the head, changing tire. Okay. I think that's pretty much my notes. Stealing millions of dollars, $4 million. Alex arrested for stealing the money in 2021. Evidence proves that Alex was with wife and son when he died. Yeah, that's pretty much where I left off. So that's kind of where we pick up with the trial because he was charged. He was officially charged in July of 2022. The trial started maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And again, if you go to Emily D. Baker, she has been following it since day one. So if you want a synopsis of what's been going on in the trial, I don't have all those details because I haven't been following the trial like that day by day. But you can definitely go over and catch Emily D. Baker, or who was the other one y'all told me? The lawyer chick. Is it Valerie, the lawyer chick? Tell me again and put in the chat, please, again, and tell me who the other person is. Yep, the insurance policies, and we're trying to collect them. Paul and Maggie were about to cost him even more money, a potential divorce, and Paul's civil suit for the boat. Yeah, because there's a civil suit against Paul for the boating event. For the boating, the boating accident. And now they've officially reopened Stephen Smith's case. So there could be something with that. Natalie lawyer chick. Thank you, Latia. There's just a lot. There's just a lot. Hi, I'm new. Your breakdown is super interesting. Thank you. I'm watching the trial. My mouth dropped when they pick up Alex with his solicitor's badge hanging out of his pants at the hospital after the boat crash. Yeah, they said they was all up in that hospital trying to cover, trying to you know what I'm saying, control everything. When he told the nurse that he was Morgan's guardian, Morgan was like, my mom and daddy on their way. Like, I don't want to talk to him. Don't let him in here. And they said that was it. That was the last time that she dealt with Paul. Unfortunately, it took something like that. Natalie practiced out of Prince George's County. Oh, for real? I'm about to check her out. Hold on. Let me find her right now. See how I be learning new stuff? And as soon as I typed in Natalie, it popped right up. I didn't even get all of Natalie. Oh, and she melanated too. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll probably listen to her tomorrow. I got some running around to do tomorrow. I'll probably listen to, because I see she's got it day 1, day 2, day 3. Okay. Yeah. I'll probably listen to her videos tomorrow. I may come back and give y'all some more information after I listen to her videos. Because like I said, I have not. Thank you, Tracy, put it in the chat. So y'all can go check her out as well. I have not been following the day by day of the trial. Because honestly, y'all, I really have forgot. When the Murdoch trial first started and Emily Baker was following it and she had like 30,000 people in her chat, I said, what is this Murdoch trial? And that's when I started listening to like some of the podcasts and stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to go and listen to what's been going on with this trial. Paul rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of people didn't like him or the family. Yeah, they said that Paul was definitely the kid, the one that would walk around saying, I'm a Murdoch. They said Buster wasn't as playing on his family name as Paul was. They said Paul was very much, hey, you know who I am? You know who I am kind of person. I now, Fly Guy, listen, I know you want to put it on anybody other than Alec Murdoch. I can agree that other people have motive. I absolutely, like I said, Anthony. Now, what I was going to say about Anthony was this, y'all. This is what I was going to say about Anthony. She's also covering the triple X to Tassian. I always say his name wrong. Okay. All right. I'm gonna reach out. Y'all know I'm always good for getting a lawyer's perspective on stuff. I like hearing. So I'm gonna listen to she got a new subscriber today, and I'm gonna go listen to her videos. But this is what I was gonna say about the situation with Anthony, Fly Guy. If you watch that documentary, at the very beginning of the documentary, when they're talking about the accident, Anthony is very angry. He sounds very angry, and he is very angry. But by the end of that documentary, and is it me? Anybody who saw the documentary, put it in the chat. By the end of the documentary, he sounds very apologetic and very much an apologist for Paul. Oh, he made a mistake, and he wasn't a bad person. He just, he made a bad mistake. I mean, he took away the love of my life, but he didn't deserve to, he didn't deserve to go out the way he went out, and it was just very. I said, even as I was watching the documentary, I was like, okay, he done went from A to Z. And he had on the same outfit. So I have to feel like it was the same interview, because like Morgan, throughout the documentary, she had on like 3 different outfits, which tells me that they interviewed her at 3 different times. But Anthony had on the same damn outfit the whole time. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying I feel like it was the same interview. And so it seemed like he went from A to Z within the same interview. It was really weird for me. Anthony was apologizing for Paul in both the Netflix and HBO Max documentaries. Now maybe the baby has split personality, but I'm not convinced. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was very much like, oh, Paul wasn't a bad guy. Paul was, he was still my friend. I still loved him. But, and I was like, I will say that, Fly Guy, I will definitely say that by the end of the documentary, I ain't gonna say I was side-eyeing Anthony like Anthony did it, But I was definitely side-eyeing Anthony like, sir, I'm gonna need you to make up your mind. You have HBO. I got HBO Max too. I'm gonna have to go check out. I didn't check out the HBO Max documentary. I'm gonna have to go check it out. The whole Low Country had motive. Yeah, they did. I mean, it definitely. Listen, let me tell you something. And I'm not trying to oversimplify this, and I'm not trying to make light of it either. But whenever the more and more I listen to documentaries, and I follow these, and everything like podcasts and stuff like that. The more and more I get information like that, the more and more it makes me really think of like Falcon Crest and Dallas and, these shows where you have these families that dominate the town and the kids get away with murder. And the parents are out here just wheeling and dealing and treating people however they want. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it really sounds like something out of, Falcon Crest or something. The son gets drunk, gets in a boating accident, the family takes care of it. The housekeeper knows too much, threatens to go to the police, they unalive her. Like, it just sounds it's crazy. The neighborhood, the town, the brother doesn't want to come out of the closet. Maybe Stephen threatened to say something. Maybe Stephen said, I don't want to live in the closet anymore, and I'm gonna tell the whole town that you my man. It could, we don't know, but it's just, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And again, we're not talking about 1950s. We're not talking about 100 years ago. We're talking about 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Like, this stuff has happened within the last 6 years. It's crazy, y'all. Very Aaron Spelling. Yes, very Aaron Spelling. Absolutely. So go check out the documentary. Fly Guy, you said that you are in law school. Are you like following a trial? Do you have a platform that we can come in here with what you've been saying? Like, are you doing videos or a podcast or anything? Because you sound very knowledgeable about alternative theories. Do you have somewhere where you are putting your theories out there? Because I would love to hear a full breakdown of what you how you feel about it. I would love to hear a full breakdown. Y'all gonna have my husband fussing at me for making him watch it with Don't blame me. Don't blame me, C. Golden. Fly Guy might be gone. He might have left. Or she. Well, it's a guy. He said Fly Guy. Him. Might be gone. All those stories were rooted in Southern slave culture. Listen, T. Jones, like I know, they only went back to 1910. But if they went back one more generation, they said they owned over 4 homes on all of these different hundreds and thousands of acres. Like I know. In my opinion, everyone was sick of the Murdaughs getting away with the shenanigans forever. They wanted accountability for the boat crash. They never would have thought this outcome. Again, I'm not saying that it wasn't somebody else, because I think it could absolutely be a who shot JR scenario. I think it could absolutely be a who shot JR scenario. Now, that's just the truth. That is just the truth. You understand what I'm saying? But I need to go and listen to the evidence that has been presented at the trial in order for me to be like, nah, he did it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. Because I honestly have not been following the trial. So I do not know what evidence they have presented as it relates to the wife and the son. I honestly don't know. Other than what I've heard in the documentary. And again, I listened to a couple of YouTube videos this weekend, and it really gives you more of the background. It doesn't give you, like I said, the Emily Bakers and the Valerie. Like, I have not been watching them, but I'm gonna get caught up with Valerie. Natalie. I'm gonna start watching. Like I said, I have some running around to do tomorrow, so I'm gonna be listening when I'm in the car. Not as of yet, but I just submitted. I just stumbled across your page and you broke it down so the average person can understand the case. I appreciate that. Thank you, Fly Guy. Listen, that's what I like to do over here, because I love the law, but I'm not a lawyer. So I can only tell y'all the way I get it. And I be taking my notes and I try to make sure. And again, as always, you know, I don't write every single thing down. So y'all go back and watch the doc. It's very good. Like I said, it's an easy. I don't know about the HBO Max one, but the one on Netflix is 3 parts. But it's an easy watch. Like I watched one right because at first I was gonna do 3 different videos for all 3 episodes, but it ran right. One ran right into the other, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna do one video, child. I think he did it. Who else would do it to them? Paul was costing him money. Maggie was going to divorce him. Listen, the sad thing is, like I just said, this is like a who shot JR. So many people had motive. So many people had motive. Child. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. If you have not hit that like button, please hit the like button. If you have not voted for my boy Scotty by Nature, please, Tracy, can you drop the link one more time for me, please? Please go over and vote at the Boss Babe Awards. We have until the end of the month. I'm going to be at the awards. Abby's going to be at the awards with Scotty. So we will be there, hopefully, to help him celebrate his win. Okay, so y'all please go and vote if you have not already voted. Do you still think they are above the help? I feel so bad for Miss Shelley. She was scared to testify, in my opinion. Definitely Southern slave culture. Good old boys network. It's wild to express. Daniel, I haven't been following the trial, so I don't know who Miss Shelley is. But once I listen to some of these videos, I probably could give you a better answer because I don't know. Yep, and he just got fired. Who got fired? I gotta go watch the trial. I'm gonna go get these. Listen, I may end up doing a part 2 next week after I get caught up on the different things going on with the trial. Okay, y'all. Let me go watch some of these videos on the trial. And I may do a part 2 next week. Who is Miss Shelley? Now Latia said, poor Miss Shelley. Who is Miss Shelley? She sounds like a nice lady though. My cousin name is Shelley. Oh, Alex Murdoch was fired. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Put my water over here. Okay. If you guys watched the first episode of Bel Air, check us out on the TSF channel. We're gonna be talking about Bel Air season 2, episode 1 at 8:00 over on the TSF channel. Oh, Miss Shelley was Alex's mother's housekeeper. I definitely, yeah, the Alex's mother's housekeeper. Oh yeah. Let me go. I'm gonna go again this weekend while I'm out and about. I know I won't be able to catch up in one day, but over the next couple of days, I'm gonna listen to Natalie's breakdowns. I'm gonna listen to her breakdowns. Okay. He was there for 44 minutes. That was his alibi being with his mom. Right, but she testified he abruptly showed up and told her, tell anybody who asked that he was there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Old money. Yeah, that's definitely old money. What you gonna watch Natalie and Tommy boxing match tomorrow? I'm not watching that shit. Listen, you just gave me a headache thinking about it. You just gave me a headache. Nope. Not doing it. Y'all, let me go. I will talk to y'all later. Mwah. Peace.